so Chicky rolls the wheelchair into the basement bathroom, take the gauze out of the pouch he had on his lap, and hospital tape, laid him on the sink. He cut the water on, and with all his strength, he cleaned his wounds, which wasn't no easy task, being as though he was shot in the back. Now, just a few hours ago, he wouldn't have been able to do this. But after taking 4 perk 30s, pain was really obsolete at the moment. But anyway, once he finished cleaning, he applied the gauze and the hospital tape to each one of his wounds, which was a struggle. The club was in full swing upstairs. The noise didn't bother him, though. It actually made him feel like he wasn't alone. Once he finished with his bandages, he wheeled himself back over to the bed, cuts the TV on, and for a little while, he's watching the basketball game, drifting in and out of his medication. But when the game went off, the news came on. 5:45 news came on. And he sees a picture of his niece flash across the screen. And underneath her picture, it say kidnapped. He raised up in the bed. Panic set in. He wanted to call his brothers. Meanwhile, the brothers get to the rendezvous point and part ways once the business was taken care of. So they all individually on their way back to their residence. Mission complete. So Levi on the highway. He was in his old school Riviera. He on his way home. He reached down in the ashtray, sparked a blunt. He doing the constant 70. That's riding, smoking, and thinking. He really just put that work in with his brothers. He was feeling proud. He had a proud moment. And he knew them niggas peoples was going to try to come back, but family over everything. They was going to have to come on with it. So he hit the blunt, grinning. Once he get to his exit, he turned off on the ramp. He back out the counter. He pulled in the gas station, running there real fast, get some gas and some blunts, take it on in. But when he pulled down on his block, whole fucking house yellow taped off. He looking in disbelief. Fuck is going on? He hurry up, pull down front of the house, park, hop out, go up underneath the yellow tape, hurry up, run through the front door, get the yelling out, baby, Adriana. Nobody in the house. He go upstairs, look, come back down. It's blood everywhere along the steps. He literally paralyzed with fear, because at this point, he thinking his family dead. Crying, he foaming out the mouth. He run in the living room, grab the phone. While he doing that, the front door opened up. 2 police walk in the house. They asked him, was he Mr. Such and Such? So he run over there like, yes. Where's my wife? Where's my daughter? They telling him to calm down. His wife down the station. His daughter been abducted. He look at the police like, abducted? What the fuck is up with all this blood? That's when they let him know his wife went on here to defend the house. Ended up killing one of the little dudes. He like, what? They like, yeah, sir, we need to get you down the station. Got some questions for you. So he's like, all right, man, just take me to my wife. They take him down the station. Meanwhile, at the hospital, so like I say, Fat Cat eyes got big as golf balls. He tell Mr. Felix, like, say no more. I'm gonna get that shit done myself. Mr. Felix like, see, that's what I want to hear. So that's when Fat Cat was like, man, I was thinking about just letting the girl loose in the park, letting the little girl go. But Mr. Felix like, no. See, what you do, you take her to the park, but you leave her up the park. We'll send a clear message. 30,000 in it for you. Fat Cat look at him. Fuck it, it's done. And just like that, he was out. Mr. Felix lay back in the bed, and he whispered to himself, Johnny, Kenny, I'm gonna send y'all some souls before they take me away from here. And just as he drifted back off to sleep, his wife came back into the room, sat down by his side. She rubbed his hand and he opened his eyes. He looked his wife straight in her eyes and told her, I'm not who you think I am, honey. She just looked at him and said, Felix, don't start talking like that. He just stared at her blankly for a couple seconds. And he told her, God gonna punish me this time. Yeah, so Fat Cat pulled up at the hideout, go up in the room, grab Adriana. He had already taped her eyes, mouth, hands, and feet. Lil Naughty was in there watching her. They dragged Adriana out to the van, throw her in the back. So Fat Cat tell Naughty, like, yeah, come on, let's go get them cans of gasoline. So they go back in the vape. Adriana in the back of the van, rolling around. But when they get in the house, Lil Naughty go in the living room, bend down to pick up the canister. Fat Cat whips out the 4-5, hit them all in the back of the head. Boom, 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 boom. Slumps him. Grabbed the can of gasoline, poured it on Naughty body. Stood there looking at him for a second, and he was like, sorry, shorty. Threw a match on his ass. Got the fuck up out of there. He hurry up, ran outside, hop in the van. He hurry up, pull out the block. House in flames. Man, so when Fat Cat finally reached Lincoln Park, he pulled down deep into the woods. Parked the van, hop out, looking around and shit. He opened the van doors, Adriana laid there in the fetal position. He went to go grab her arm. She snatched away from him. Well, out of frustration, he grabbed her by her hair. He grips her hair and snatch her out the van and get to dragging her through the woods, dragging her like a rag doll. He gets her down there by a little pond. Mind you, eyes taped, mouth taped, hands and feet bound and gagged. He stopped dragging her by the water's edge and threw her down on the ground. Standing over top of Adriana, pulls out the 4.5, points it at her head, point blank range. With a smirk on his face, he said, "This for your bitch ass daddy." Boom, boom, boom. Shots echoed through the night. Adriana laid out half her head missing. And then to add insult to injury, took his foot and kicked her in the water. Left her face down in the. So he tucked the gun in his jacket. But when he turned around to run back to the car, he gets met with 2 flashlights. It's 2 white police officers yelling, "Freeze!" See, what Fat Cat didn't know was that they was a part of a search team on the other side of the park. They had broke apart from the group to continue their search. But anyway, he see they white faces and take off, running. They yelling, "Freeze, freeze!" and give chase. He running for his life. He makes it back to the van, but they on his ass. And he reached to grab the driver's side door. They get to yelling, "Freeze or I'm gonna shoot, freeze!" He's standing there with his hand on the door, thinking to himself, "I ain't going back to jail. I ain't going back to jail." He reached in his jacket, and before he got the 4.5 halfway out, he lit his ass up like a Christmas tree. Boom, 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 boom. Dropped him. He was laid out with his head up against the tire. Once the officers made sure he was dead, they went over and retrieved the gun out of his hand. The rest of the officers from the other side of the park, they get to making their way over there. One of the officers asked the shooting officer, "Where did y'all see him initially?" It goes back to the initial spot. They find Adriana in the water, face down, in a real shallow bed of water. Meanwhile, down at the station, they had Levi in interrogation for about an hour and a half, questioning him about Adriana abduction. He just kept assuring them he ain't had no beef in the street, he ain't owe no debts, he don't know who could have done it. But of course, in the back of his mind, he knew very well. Linda cussed him out and left the precinct, told him she was staying with her mother. She blamed him for everything, which she was right to. So when he finally get out the station, he called the cab. At about 15 minutes of waiting, cab pull up, he hop in the back. He get him Chicky address, because his house was a crime scene. In less than 20 minutes, he was pulling up in front Chicky door. Tanya answered the door, half asleep. And when she see him, she like, "What's up, Levi?" He looked at her and shake his head like, "It's a long story." She let him in, grabbed him a beer out the refrigerator. They sitting at the kitchen table. He get to breaking everything down to her. He couldn't believe it. "Oh my God, they got Adriana?" Just stood there holding her chest like, "Oh my God." She's like, "I'm so sorry, yo. Anything you need me to do, just let me know." How is Linda holding up? He get to telling her like, "Yeah, man, she blamed me for everything. Went to go stay with her mother. It's just hectic right now. Got to find my baby, man." She was shaking her head. She was like, "Oh my God." She like, and Chicky don't even know. He like, "I need to talk to my brother." That's when Tanya get to telling him how she snuck Chicky out the hospital. So Levi like, "Where he at?" "I can give you the address, but I can't take you there because I don't want to lead the police to him. I know they're going to be following me." So Levi like, "Oh, okay." She go get a pen and paper from out the kitchen drawer. Come back, write the address down for him and the telephone number. And she tell him, only call him from payphones. Don't call him from no landline. He get to tell her like, "Yeah, I already know." Some people listening. All right, so boom. The next day, Mr. Felix get out the hospital. He ain't have all his strength back yet, and he could barely walk, but he was starting to move around. Now, he wondered why he ain't heard from Fat Cat. He would have usually heard something from him by now. But he figured Fat Cat probably wasn't going to call him until he stood on that business and had something to tell on. You know what I mean? He's sitting on the couch with his medication spread out on the table in front of him. He ready to take his medicine. So while he looking through the pill bottles, he hears his wife yelling out from upstairs, "Felix, Felix, cut on the TV." He like, "Huh?" She like, "Cut on the TV, babe. Ain't that your boy on TV?" He like, "What channel?" "Channel 13, cut on channel 13. Boom, he cut the TV on. He turned on the news. It's a white reporter standing in Lincoln Park. They showing images of the van, Fat Cat body laid out, but they had his face blurred. They walked down by the creek, showed where they found Adriana at, but they didn't show her. They didn't identify Fat Cat as such and such. Mr. Felix is blown away. He can't believe it. Fat Cat put the work in and got killed in the process. His wife come down the steps shaking her head like, "Ain't that him?" He like, "Yeah, that's him." Oh, man. She was like, "He did that to that little girl?" Felix just shaking his head, looking at the floor. But then a thought crossed his mind. This might not be so bad at all. And killed 2 birds with 1 stone. But now he ain't got to pay Fat Cat, and he got some get back for his partners. So when he thought of it like that, a little demonic smirk creeped on his face. the night at Tanya and Chicky house on the couch. But that very next morning, they was abruptly awakened by the police pounding on the door. Boom, 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 boom. 7 o'clock in the morning, they banging on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Tanya jump about the bed, run to the window, peek out the blinds. She see the police out there. She throw out robe on, run downstairs. Levi sitting on the couch, discombobulated, trying to figure out what the fuck going on. She tell him like, that's the police out there. He like, the fuck they want? She like, they probably looking for Chicky. She go to the door, look out the peephole. They out front yelling, open up, we got a warrant, open up. So she tell Levi like, I'm ready to open the door. He's like, go ahead, he ain't in here. She open up the door. They flash the warrant in her face. Tell her step to the side. They come in the house, get the walk, looking around the house, looking for Chicky. They spots Levi on the couch, makes him produce his ID. They see his name on the ID. They like, oh, we looking for you too. We like, huh? They pulled him in the kitchen and let him know his daughter had been located. He was found dead on the same, face down in the bed, water shot up. When he heard that, he just dropped to his knees, bawling, crying. Tanya bent down, got her arm around him, trying to console him. He just keeps screaming, no, no. They telling him they need to come down, identify the body. They trying to get in contact with his wife, Linda. It's a mess. So after the police get finished looking through the basement, upstairs, downstairs, they determined that Chicky wasn't there. So when they left, they took Levi with them to identify Adriana. Everybody done seen the news and what happened to Adriana. High-profile case in the city. They said it on the news. It was rumored to be a contract killing. The Fat Cat was a known hitman out of East Baltimore. West Baltimore, Gilmore Homes. So just his involvement in a situation like that created a lot of speculation. But anyway, the streets is talking. Meanwhile, on Harford Road, 30th Street, Joe Gamble boys out the body snatcher crew pull up across the street from the barbershop in a black station wagon, credit tents. Now, Magic got a tip from a female he used to deal with that lived in the area. That Zeke in there getting his hair cut in the barbershop. He said, boy, he had his little son with him. Now, Zeke had dreads, so obviously he was trying to change his look up with all this shit going on. So moving off a tip, they pull up in front of the barbershop. Now, Magic was dark-skinned, wavy hair, slugs in his mouth, slick talking, slick dressing type nigga, but a cold-blooded gangster and a known head hitter. When he be locked up, he be having all the female COs breaking law for him, and when he home, he get to the money. And Baby Fred, who was in the passenger seat with him in the car, he was basically one and the same. Shooters. See, Joe Gamble had raised them basically. He's practically their father. The whole body snatcher crew was his little niggas that he raised up, put them on, taught them the game. So long story short, them boys ain't play about Joe Gamble. So when he got hit up at that funeral with Johnny Smack, they been on a warpath searching. But anyway, him and Baby Fred, who was light-skinned, short slugs in his mouth, he rocked the boosie fades, shorty a Damon. They in the car with them heaters on their lap, looking over at the barbershop. So Magic like, that bitch in there, I know he in there. Then Baby Fred like, man, that's that nigga car right there. Parked up a little bit from the barbershop. They knew it was his, he had that red Camaro. So Magic like, oh yeah, that's his car right there? Fred like, yeah, that's that bitch car. So Magic reach in the glove box, grab the switchblade, pass it to Baby Fred. He like, yo, go over there and punch holes in his tires. Do the front one facing the barbershop so when he come out, he'll see it. So Baby Fred like, all right, give it here. He hop out the car with that switchblade, get the creeping across the street. People was outside, but they was coming and going, not playing no mind. So he walked past the car first. Then when it seemed like wasn't nobody paying attention, he turned back around, walked up on the car, slammed the knife into the wheel, pulled it back out, hit the jogging back across the street to the car. He hopped in the car, Magic laughing. Fred like, what the fuck you laughing for? Magic like, your little ass a criminal, boy. So they sitting there behind tents watching the barbershop, waiting, smoking and waiting. So after like damn near 45 minutes to an hour of sitting out there waiting for Zeke and his son to get their hair cut, they walks out the front door. So when Magic sees this, him and Baby Fred pull their masks down. Zeke walking out the barbershop talking to his son. He spots the flat tire. He like, oh man, what the fuck, man? So that was Baby Fred and Magic Q right there. Zeke bent down, start looking at the tire. When they sees this, Magic and them bail out the car. Hurry up, get the jogging across the street. Zeke don't say it, he looking at the tire. But his little son was standing right there. He tapped Zeke on the shoulder like, daddy, daddy. But when Zeke look up, Baby Fred jumped on the hood of the car with a Mac 11. He let that bitch rip. Magic run around the front of the car, hit to let that Glock off. Boom, 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 boom. Dropped him. His son screaming, daddy, daddy. Them niggas run back to the car. Zeke's son crying, screaming, daddy, pulling on his shirt. Blood all over the place. He got his father blood all over his hands and his arms and shit. Just looking at his father crying. Zeke dead with his eyes open, riddled with bullets. Magic and Baby Fred peel off. Get the gunning down off the road towards North Avenue. Magic tell Baby Fred, like, yeah, that's one down, 4 more to go. Call and drive to the nearest payphone. She called Chicky telling him, like, boy, look, they done went on here and raided the house this morning looking for you. But Chicky, like, never mind that shit. He was waiting on our phone call because all he wanted to know about was what was up with the shit he saying on the news about Adriana's abduction. That's what she tell him, like, yeah, you know, Levi came over the house last night telling me about that. His wife ended up killing one of the dudes in the house when the shit went down. So they taped off the house and shit and made it a crime scene. Linda went to go stay at our mother house and Levi showed up here last night at the house. So I let him in, he get to tell me what was going on. I let him sleep on the couch. So that next morning, we get woken up, police banging on the door, talking about they got a search warrant. I open the door, they come in looking for you. Well, when they spotted Levi on the couch, they made him produce his ID. When they seen his name, they let him know they done found Adriana in Lincoln Park, deceased, laid face down in a bed of water. Chicky just lost it. Get to yelling in the phone, the motherfuckers! Chicky just hung up the phone, got on the side of the bed and cried, because he knew deep down inside, all of this shit come from some shit that started with him. And he knew no matter how sore his body was, as long as he could still walk, even if it's painful to move, he got to force his recovery so he can protect his brothers. So the detectives, they take Levi down to the morgue. When he walked in that room and seen his baby girl laid out on that cold table with half her head missing, it broke him, physically and mentally. It broke him. Linda came in there, seen Adriana laid out like that, fell out. He had to rush her to the hospital. Levi never felt no pain like that in his life. Detectives gave him a call and told him if he ever wanted to talk about the situation, give him a call. Levi walked about that motherfucker feeling like an empty shell, hopeless, lost. He walked for blocks, lost in his thoughts. Eventually, he ends up catching a hack to his house. When he gets home, he takes down the yellow tape from around his house. As soon as he stepped foot in the house, the first thing he see on the floor is the blood from one of the abductors his wife killed. He goes in the kitchen, get a mop bucket, and attempt to clean and scrub the blood up off the floor and the wall. He called down the hospital, tried to talk to his wife, but he knew she was mad at him, so he decided not to go down there. But once he finished cleaning up downstairs, he goes upstairs in the bedroom, take his clothes off, get in the shower, stood there under the water, and broke down, cried till he ran out of tears. When he got out the shower, he dried himself off, put on his robe and sat on the side of the bed. He picked up a picture that was on the nightstand of him, his daughter, and his wife. He just sat there staring at the picture, tears rolling out his eyes, just shaking his head, saying, fuck, my baby girl. Now Linda gonna hate me. Shit was just eating him up for real. He reached in the drawer on the nightstand, pulled out the 38 snub nose, holding the picture in one hand and the gun in the other, crying, hurt, full of anger. He just looked at how big Adriana's smile was on that picture. As the tears flowed, he took the 38 special and stuck it to his head. He had loved his daughter, and the thought of him being the cause of her demise was unbearable. So taking one last look at the picture, put it to his lips, and bang! He pulls the trigger, blowing his own brains out. He drops the gun and his body slumps over, laying limp on the floor. The picture of him and his family fell out of his hand right next to his body on the floor. That was the end of his chapter. Guess he went to go be with his daughter. So the next day, Linda gets released from the hospital. She had fainted due to seeing her daughter in that condition. She was well enough to be discharged from the hospital the next morning. Once she was discharged, she took a royal cab home. When she got there, the yellow tape had already been removed. When she walked through the door, she noticed how all the blood had been cleaned up and the house had been swept and cleaned. So she standing at the front door yelling, no, Levi. Ain't get no answer. So she figured he wasn't there. She basically still in a state of shock from what she's saying. She just want to get in the shower, lay in the bed and cry. So she locked the door and come upstairs. When she got up the steps, she noticed the bathroom and how Chicky towel and stuff was on the floor. She knew he had been in the house at some point. But when she stepped foot in that bedroom and saw Levi laid out like that with his brains blown out and a gun in his hand, she just screamed, Levi! She run over, bent down, start shaking him. He laid in a puddle of blood. She crying her heart out.